So you hear about cryptocurrency pretty much everywhere, right? But it can feel like this really confusing topic. If you're new to all this and just want a simple, straightforward explanation, then you've come to the right place. In the next few minutes, we're going to break down all the basics. I mean, it's all over the news, it's on social media, and it can feel like this huge, complicated world you're supposed to understand. But honestly, the main ideas behind it aren't nearly as complex as they seem. So, our goal today is to just cut through all that noise and focus on what you actually need to know to get a handle on it. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with what is cryptocurrency, then we'll get into how does it all work. After that, we'll look at why do people even use crypto? And finally, we'll cover something really important, understanding the risks. Okay, let's dive right in with the most important question of all. What actually is cryptocurrency? Okay, at its very core, cryptocurrency is just digital money. You can't hold it in your hand like a $20 bill, right? It's all virtual. Now, the most important part of that word is crypto. That stands for cryptography. And all that really means is it's a super secure way of using code to protect transactions. This security is what makes the whole thing work without needing a bank in the middle. And that really gets to the single biggest difference between crypto and the money we use every day. See, with traditional money, you've got a central authority, like a government or a big bank, in charge of everything. They're the middleman for your transactions. But with most cryptocurrencies, the system is what's called decentralized, and that just means there's no one person or company in control. Transactions can happen directly between two people, peer-to-peer. So you might be wondering, if there's no bank, how does any of this actually get done? Like, how does the system stay secure and honest? Well, that's where this really clever piece of technology called the blockchain comes into play. Okay, so this is the core idea right here, the blockchain. And honestly, the best way to picture it is like a shared digital notebook. Imagine this notebook is copied and shared across thousands of computers all around the world. Every time a transaction happens, a new line is written down in everyone's copy of the notebook. And because so many people have an identical copy, it becomes almost impossible for anyone to cheat by secretly changing something. The whole network would notice. So let's walk through how that actually works. Say you want to send some crypto to your friend. First, you start the transaction. That request goes out to that whole network of computers we just talked about. They all check to make sure you actually have the funds to send. Once enough of them agree that everything looks good, your transaction gets bundled together with a bunch of others into something called a block. And then that block is permanently locked onto the end of the chain. And that's it, a secure, unchangeable record. And really, what holds this whole thing together is that cryptography we mentioned earlier. It's the secret sauce. It's the complex math that basically seals each transaction shut, that links all the blocks together in a secure chain and makes sure that only you can access your own funds. It's how you can have trust in a system that doesn't have a central boss. Okay, so now we know what it is and kind of how it works. But why? Why do people actually use this stuff? What are the different types out there? So you've definitely heard of Bitcoin, right? It was the very first one, and people often think of it as a way to store value, kind of like digital gold, or just as a way to make payments. Now, pretty much every other crypto out there is called an altcoin. A really big one is Ethereum. And it brought this powerful new idea to the table, programmable money. This means developers can actually build applications that run on the blockchain using something called smart contracts. Think of them as just automated if this, then that agreement. And that whole idea of being programmable, well, it opens up a ton of possibilities. For example, people use crypto to send money across borders, which can be faster and cheaper than the old way. Some use it to get financial services without needing a traditional bank account. That's a whole area called DeFi, or decentralized finance. And yeah, some people look at it as a way to maybe protect against inflation, though that's a topic with a lot of debate around. Okay. Now, with all this talk of new technology and potential, we need to pause and talk about something incredibly important, the risks. And this is a big deal. Before anyone even thinks about getting involved, you absolutely have to understand what you're getting into. This is probably the number one question people have. And the honest-to-goodness answer is that it comes with some very significant risks, especially if you're just starting out. This is not at all like putting money in a savings account. Seriously. If you take away only one thing from this part of the discussion, let it be this: volatility. All that means is that the prices can swing dramatically, up and down in a very short amount of time. Something that shoots up 20% in one day could easily fall by that much or even more the next. That kind of unpredictability is just part of the deal in the crypto market. And besides the price swings, there are other things to watch out for. User risk is huge. There's no undo button. If you accidentally send your crypto to the wrong address, it's pretty much gone forever. Then there's the fact that governments are still figuring out the rules, which creates a lot of uncertainty. Also, while the blockchain technology itself is very secure, the websites where you buy and sell, the exchanges, can be vulnerable to hacks. And finally, because it's new and exciting, it unfortunately attracts a lot of scammers.
And this quote really gets at a core difference from regular banking. You know how if your bank goes under, your money is usually insured by the government up to a certain limit? Well, in the world of crypto, that safety net just isn't there. You have total control, which sounds great, but it also means you have total responsibility.
So let's just quickly recap the big ideas here. First, crypto is basically digital money that's secured by code. Second, it all runs on a decentralized technology called a blockchain. And third, and this is a big one, while it has some really unique uses, it also comes with significant risks, like that volatility we talked about, and the fact that transactions can't be reversed. Whew, okay, we've covered a lot of ground, from what this stuff is to the big risks you need to know about. But look, this is really just scratching the surface. So I'm curious, now that you know the basics, what's one thing that still confuses you? Go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Seriously, your questions help us figure out what to explain next. And of course, if this was helpful for you, we'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe for more explainers like this. Thanks so much for watching.